Hey, what is going on, guys? Today we're taking a look at the HGUC Silver Bullet Suppressor, which is a version of the HGUC Silver Bullet. This is the narrative version that was piloted by Banager Links. I have still yet to watch the movie. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to watch that yet, but apparently it was only in it for a very short time. As you can see, despite that very huge, heavy backpack, it is able to stand up on its own, although I am kind of nervous that it's about to fall over any minute, so I'm watching it very carefully. But it's pretty awesome. I've built the original Silver Bullet in the form of the funnel test type version of that. I do have just the regular original Silver Bullet as well. I haven't built that one, but the funnel test type version, I love that. I'm looking forward to building the other versions of the Silver Bullet later on, as well as the Dovin Wolf. I've also got the Dovin Wolf in my backlog as well that I need to get around to reviewing. That was actually the original one that they're all based off of originally, but anyway, this is a pretty awesome kit, although it may not be up to the standards of what you would expect from a brand new high grade out in 2019, but obviously it's not a brand new high grade, as the majority of the kit is still based on the original kit, the original Dovin Wolf kit. So while it does have a lot of new parts that are really cool, and overall I think the kit still is really awesome, there are some pros and cons to consider, so let's get into it. As always, guys, a huge thank you to SA Gundam Store for sponsoring the review. Check the link to their site down below where you can check out this kit and everything else there, and you can get 10% off using that coupon code there, ZakuAurelius10. Now let's go ahead and go through all of his accessories and everything. Alright, now let's talk about stickers. No, it doesn't come with any decal marking stickers, so no like EFSF logos or anything like that to put on it, which, you know, could be a good or bad point. If you like using those, then I guess that could be a bad point, but then again, those stickers really never look good on top of dark plastic, and this is obviously a very dark kit, so I don't think they would really look good anyway. As far as color correcting stickers, it does have a few of those, so that is one indicator that this is based off of an older kit as for how many stickers it has. So let's go through some of those. Obviously it has a sticker there in for the eyes, but you actually don't have to use that because that eye piece is actually just molded in red. I just went ahead and put it on there anyway. And then other than this purple piece in the center of the torso, everything else you see on this that's purple is stickers. So purple stickers here on the sides of the legs, got purple stickers there as well. Around on the back of the leg, more purple sticker there. And then down here at the ankles, while this is white pieces, and then this part up here at the top, though, that's actually a dark blue part. You have a white sticker to cover that up, so 4 of those covering up those parts there. On the front of this kind of shin section, there's that kind of black and gray sticker there for, I guess that's supposed to be sort of like a vent or something. And that's pretty much it, so it's really not all that bad, but there are a handful of color correcting stickers on there. Now as for his official accessory, there's really not a whole lot. He's got a set of holding hands there on the kit. You also have a set of open hands. Now these are the ones from the original Silver Bullet, so these are meant to have the beam guns there in the hands, so it's just got those for a nice set of open hands with the wrists sort of like cocked back like that, so it's supposed to be for he's firing the beam guns there out of his hands. And then you have a trigger finger hand here, which is for the beam magnum. So the beam magnum is from the HGUC's unicorn kit. With the unicorn, this can attach onto his backpack or onto his forearm, but with this kit you don't have anywhere to attach this onto it, unfortunately, when it's not being held in the hand. And that is it really for all of its official accessories. Now of course it has a lot more kind of built into this backpack, which we'll talk more about here in a moment, but it does have a lot of leftover parts which I think you might be kind of interesting. So let's talk about some of those here. Now first of all, it has the original beam rifle in here, which I believe is very similar, if not exactly the same as the Jagan's beam rifle, but that is also included, so that's a unofficial accessory. Also, if you weren't a fan of the new, more high-heeled style feet, you do have the original Silver Bullet feet in here as well, so these are also quite nice, and I think these also allow for a better range of ankle movement. These don't really have a very good side-to-side bend here at the ankle, so you can't get the stance very wide, unfortunately. With the original feet though, the original Silver Bullet can get a much wider stance. So from the runner for the beam magnum, we do have some leftover parts from the unicorn kit too. We have the extra magazine for the beam magnum, which you might want to use for this, but you know, according to the cannon and with it ruining its arms every time you fire a shot, you wouldn't have enough arms to actually utilize this, but you might want to just tack it on there somewhere just in case. You have 6 little extra leftover thruster bells from the unicorn kit as well. You can use those in some sort of customization for this kit, or just stick these, hang on to those anyway for some other future customs. You also have the beam saber handles from the original Silver Bullet here. No beam saber blades, unfortunately. It really would have been cool if it would have included a set of beam saber blades for this, just to have an extra accessory for it, because I mean obviously the suit still has the beam sabers. They're built into like its hip section there where they pop out. So it's a shame that we didn't get a set of beam sabers, but if you have any leftover beam saber effect parts, which you probably do if you've built any number of high grade kits, you can use those with these. And then a few just kind of interesting option parts. If you weren't a fan of these new knee sections, you have just the original knee bits, which are much smaller little things that just kind of stick out of there. Also not sure why you might want to use these, but you do have the original part from the side of the leg that's just all molded in one color. The new part has this extra bit of color separation added where you have a separate white part, so that's nice. But if for whatever reason you don't want or need that, or maybe you want to stick this on the inside of the leg as well, you can put that there. And then another kind of really small detail here is this black little vent there at the center. If you didn't like that, you just wanted to have it just as just like a solid piece without a vent there, you do have that original part here. And the other interesting thing is the arm option parts. So the original Silver Bullet had some options in its arm that was kind of interesting. So let's just take this off and look at this independently. So if you pull this apart, you have leftover parts to make both of the kind of sub arms, which go in here to replace the main arms. There's no articulation in the elbow joint for that though, but you do have some articulation with the little fingers for that. So if you wanted to have one arm being just the sub arm for that, you've got that included in here. I think I might have that backwards, but anyway, you get the idea. The other option is the part for the wire guided income arms. So you don't have the wire, of course, but you have the parts for that if you just stick that there. And the other end of that is meant to go in here. Now the elbow joint is a little bit different on this version of the kit, so you would have to kind of mod it a little bit. It wouldn't be quite as easy as just plug and play. You'd have to eliminate, you have to not include this elbow joint and then just kind of basically just glue this in the place of where it was. Where on the original kit it's very easy to just swap it out. On this one it's a little bit different connection in there, but it wouldn't be too hard to make this into a wire guided arm if you wanted to. You just need to get a bit of wire for that. And we do also have the included stands for that, so you had these stands included for the arms of the original kit that you could use here with this if you wanted to. Just something to look into if you want to get a little creative. Wouldn't really take very much work to modify that to make the arms into the wire guided arms for that. And with 6 arms here to work with, you've got some spares. So let's talk about the arm replacement method, shall we? So this bit here on the back skirt, which I should mention can be removed from there if you want, is just gonna slide over to the side, and this bit as well just gonna slide over there. This part basically just fold it around and fold it up and around to grab onto the base of your next spare arm. And these are all just connected by a connection there at the wrist, so between the hand and the forearm. There's just a little bit that holds on to the extra arms there. So that grabs onto that, and then you can swing that around, and that would then, in theory, replace the arm that is now broken. So that is made to easily just pop out of there like that. There's just a peg, and it actually seems a little bit too loose. I feel like if you're messing around with it too much, that arm might get kind of loose and might just kind of start to pop off accidentally. So in the manual it shows you like a step-by-step instructions of how to do this really seamlessly, but it seems just kind of contrived to me. I don't know if you're really worried about the actual process of making it switch the arms. You just want to try to get it posed up so that it looks like it's switching the arms. It's meant to plug up straight into there, but I'm finding it's getting in the way because it's running into this thruster belt on the side of the leg there, and then you need to put the arm like straight down for that to line up, and there's just, as you can see, that's just pointing straight down. It's just not going to work with this thing in the way, so you need to like remove the leg for that to actually work, I guess. Anyway, something like that. It's meant to look like it's plugging in the new arm there. So that is pretty much it for that gimmick. It's a cool thing, and some people have been disappointed that only 2 of the arms, the one that's actually on there, and then one of the spares is a working elbow arm. Whereas these other spares here, the wrist actually doesn't move, that's just a fixed joint there. So you could hold something in the hand, but you can't actually move the wrist at all. The elbow joint as well doesn't move or anything at all, so there's no articulation in this whatsoever. So that said, I don't really know what you would want to do with it. If you wanted to modify this into some sort of thing like the Gushin Rebake, where you have like the extra arms actually holding on to some separate weapons or something like that, it's going to take some modification to do that anyway, because the backpack is just not set up for the arms to be sticking out. They're meant to just be held in there, so if they're just being held in there, they really don't need any articulation per se. But as you can see, if you fiddle around with it too much, those arms will drop out of there. The connection on those is not super solid, so I'll just kind of pop those back into place for the time being. But while we're on the topic of articulation, let's get into it. So for the head here, it's going to go up, not really all that far at all. Really can't point the head up very far, and that's just due to the design of the back of the head and just stuff bumping into each other there. Really cool design for the head though. I should mention that there are safety flags on the front V-fin, the yellow V-fin, and on these antennas sticking up at the back. I just cut those off, sharpened, sanded those up just to make them look nicer. Just get rid of those safety flags on there. But as you can see, the head design is really cool. I like that. Except for maybe this detail kind of around the chin part there. It looks like, it kind of sort of reminds me of like the Psycho Gundam. It almost looks like a sort of like open mouth kind of thing going on there. That little tiny little bit of detail I don't really care for. But the rest of the head looks awesome. It's very similar to the original head, or the original Gundam style head of the Silver Bullet. But just a slight variation on that. As far as the shoulder joints, you've got a little bit of forward articulation there. The shoulder armor itself will be able to move up and down. I like how this new shoulder armor is a little bit sort of like unicorn-esque looking, like unicorn mode, how it has these different armor panels. Looks sort of similar to the closed up unicorn mode version of the unicorn's shoulder armor. The shoulder joint itself will move up like that. You can bring the arm up to a little bit more than 90 degrees, but nothing too much there. Unfortunately, a nice seam line there on the middle of the arm. You're going to have that on all of the arms, so some seam line removal to do there. Otherwise, a nice double joint there in the arm, so you have a pretty good bend there, and the wrist is just, of course, on a ball joint. As far as the stomach section, it has a very unique design here, but unfortunately not a whole lot of articulation. I'm just dropping arms out of the backpack as I'm fooling around with this. Forward and back, side to side, not really a whole lot going on there. It's basically just a ball joint connection, so if you loosen up that ball joint a little bit, you can get more of a bend, but it's going to be kind of loose then at that point. Otherwise, just rotation, obviously not going to be a problem there. For the front skirt, what there is of a front skirt doesn't move or anything at all. The back skirt also doesn't move at all. The side skirts, which are actually just attached onto the sides of the thighs, those are on ball joints, but they don't really move around because there's not really much room for them to move around anywhere. And there goes his other arm. The other part that I'm finding does fall out kind of easily is his new knee armor, because it doesn't really plug into anything really, it just kind of rests in there. It's got these like little circular bits that are kind of supposed to meant to hold it in place, but they don't really very well just because of the design of this. There you go, so that just kind of sits in there. You can sort of move that around a little bit, but hey, it's just kind of very loose. There's nothing really particular holding it in there. But you can get the legs out nice, pretty wide. That's not a problem at all. They are a little bit heavy though, so I feel like they might start to droop down after an amount of time. Forward, also not going to be any problem at all with the lack of skirting armor. You have a nice double joint there. The knee, but you're really only going to be able to get about 90 degrees out of that just because of the design here at the back of the leg. This bit here, which this flap that also moves, is just kind of in the way of getting any more of a knee bend out of that, as well as this bit here on the side of the leg. Then as I mentioned before, the ankles side to side is not that great. This front bit of ankle armor will move a little bit up and down like that. So the foot forward will go only to about there, back, all the way back to there, so that's good, that's pretty nice. And then up underneath the feet, a little bit of detail there, but it's not really a whole lot at this point. And for a comparison, here it is with the funnel test type version of the Silver Bullet. So you can see because of the high heels added onto this kit, it is actually standing taller for its head height, but its total height is of just about the same because the cannons on the backpack of the regular Silver Bullet and the funnel test type version, and I think the Gale Chan's version, pretty much every other version, those cannons are longer, so the total height is about the same, but the head height is definitely taller on this new version. Now, as it is compared to a normal 1/44 scale sized Gundam like the RX-782 there, you can see any version of Silver Bullet or Dove and Wolf are going to be towering over your regular 18 meter tall mobile suit. So these are very big kits despite them being 1/44 scale. And one other point of articulation I did forget to mention is on the backpack, on the sides of the backpack, you have those new kind of like thruster units there that will rotate around, and like the little claw opening bits there on the top and bottom of that. Those have a little bit of articulation there, but the main parts of the backpack which hold the extra arms, those don't have any articulation in there at all, so it's just the bits on the side. But anyway, as you've seen, this kit has its share of pros and cons, as I mentioned in the beginning. Overall, I think the kit looks really cool. It's just a really cool, such a cool design for the mobile suit. That's why I really love the Silver Bullet, despite it having pros and cons, every version of it. It's just such a cool, unique design, and because of its size too, it's just really cool to build such a big HG kit. But of course, with the amount of stickers and seam lines that this kit has, it may feel like you're building a high grade from a few years back, not really all that long. It doesn't honestly feel that dated, but you can tell it's a little bit older HGUC kit. But honestly, if that doesn't bother you, then there's really nothing too much to complain about this kit. If that does bother you, then I don't know, I guess just don't build it. But I think there's a lot to enjoy with this kit, and while it may not have a ton of accessories, it has a pretty cool gimmick there with the arms, of course, and it has a lot of leftover parts, so you could definitely customize this to make it a little bit more personal to however you want to build it with some of those option parts, and with just a little bit of modding you can utilize some more of those extra parts for that pretty easily, I think. So what do you guys think of the kit? Have you ever built any version of the Silver Bullet before? I'm interested to know, because it doesn't really seem like a really popular kit that I see a lot of people working on very often, but it does have a few different versions, including the Dolphin Wolf, I guess, if you want to include that. And I think there's the original Silver Bullet and 2 or 3 other different P-Bandai versions, I think. But so, have any of you guys built them? What do you think about them? I'm just interested to hear about that. I really like them a lot, but that is just my personal taste, my personal opinion. But if you've never built any of them, I would recommend checking out one of them. Maybe check out which version looks the coolest to you. Now, of course, the P-Bandai versions are going to be a little bit more expensive, a little bit harder to get, but maybe if you really particularly like one of those versions more, it may be worth it for you. But definitely check out one of them. I think it's a really fun, interesting kit to build. This one is maybe, in terms of just like the overall solidness of the kit, this is probably the least solid version, just because of the gimmicks. Like I said, like the knee parts kind of fall out kind of easily and the arms fall out kind of easily. So if it's something that you're planning on handling a lot, then this one you're gonna have parts kind of falling off every now and then on you, which you might find a little bit annoying. I think the original Silver Bullet you'd probably find a bit more solid. But if you're in the market for a nice big HG with a really cool look and some pretty interesting gimmicks, then check it out. That is it for my review, guys, though. So thank you so much for watching. And again, check out the link to USA Gundam Store there down below. If you have any other further questions, of course, you can feel free to leave those in the comment section as well. So that's it, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.